What's going on, everyone? So, according to Mike Scotto, the Los Angeles Lakers could have some interest in Jakob Poeltl if he is unable to come to an extension agreement with the Toronto Raptors, right? And this wouldn't really be a shock, right? Obviously, the Lakers need a center. Jakob Poeltl could absolutely fill that center role, one of the better interior defensive centers in the league, a guy that can bang with the big boys, get you a steal and a block a game, right? Gave you some back to the basket stuff. You could make an argument he's not ideal for like what you're looking for with Luka, but we'll touch on all that here in a moment, right? Lakers have been linked to Jakob Poeltl for years now, right? Every offseason, every trade deadline, the last like 2 or 3 years, you've heard Jakob Poeltl's name kind of brought up and mentioned, at least as long as I've been doing YouTube. You've heard Jakob Poeltl's name brought up and mentioned in these potential trade talks and whatnot. And again, he makes a lot of sense. He's just a really good center, right? He's not really the guy that you think, like he's not a top 3 to 5 guy, but he's really good. He's a guy that can rebound, defend, score the ball, make plays, pass out of the post. Like the guy can do a little bit of everything. He is one of the better centers in this league. He's a veteran. He's been there. He's done that, right? Makes a lot of sense as like that interior anchor for the Lakers, right? Now, he's not really that lob threat that you want, right? He's not really the guy that's just like sprinting down the floor and just like hammering it home on, possession after possession where Luka's going to just lob it up. Obviously, again, he's a big physical presence. He can, catch the lob, he get someone off the ground, but he's not like that Nick Claxton or that Daniel Gafford or that hyper athletic, just dominant force that could just go up. You just got to throw it up, right? No, Jakob Poeltl's not really giving you that, right? He's more of like, he's getting you the tip dunk and throw the ball down to him and he can go make a play for himself, make plays for others, rebound the basketball, do all those things. He's 29 years old. He'll be 30 at the start of the season or around the start of the season, October 15th. So like right before the season begins, he'll be turning 30, which is fine, right? He's not on the wrong side of 30. He's not 35, 36, anything like that. And again, just a very good, solid vet that you know exactly what you're going to get from him, right? He's a guy that's going to go get you, 15 and 10 minimum on a nightly basis. He doesn't need setup. He's a guy that, can knock down a little elbow, score around the rim. It doesn't really stretch the floor or anything like that. But just, again, a good, big physical presence, true 7-footer, right? That, especially in the Western Conference, with all of these just mammoth centers, Jakob Poeltl would be really nice to have, right? You look at somebody like a Nick Claxton, who, don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to have Nick Claxton, but he doesn't have the weight behind him. He's 215 pounds soaking wet, right? So it's just like, that's definitely a concern. And it's like, okay, well, you'd need a more physically imposing center, somebody that can kind of bang with the big boys. And you look at, again, a Jakob Poeltl, 7 feet, 260 pounds, right? So he's got the weight behind him and the physicality. He's not afraid to get a little physical, particularly on the interior, right? But what does he provide and what could he provide a team like the Lakers? Well, let's look, right? So last year for the Toronto Raptors, he played in 57 games, started in 56 of the 57 games. He played an average of 29.6 minutes per game. Took 10.2 field goal attempts, so not a guy that's taking a ton of attempts a night, right? He's not a guy that he's going to be coming in and expecting to take 20 attempts per game, right? Or get an X amount of touches, right? He's a guy that limited touches, 10 touches a game, shot 62.7% from the floor, a guy that not going to stretch the floor from you, right? He's not a 3-point shooter. He is more around the rim type guy. Like I said, he can score a little bit beyond. He's not one of those guys that's like outside of 5 feet, right? He's cooked, but he's more of like in the paint type of center for you. So 62.8% from 2-point range, EFG of 62.8%. Now free throw shooting, he is a terrible free throw shooter, and that would definitely be an issue, right? Get a team hack a Poeltl, right? Which might not be great. But this past season, he did shoot 67.4% from the foul line on 2.5 attempts, which is the best percentage of his career. He is a career 55.5% free throw shooter. Rebounding, give you 9.6 rebounds including 3.3 offensive rebounds, 14.5 points, with 3 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks. So again, a guy that can make plays out of the post, you can dump the ball down to. He's really good at just when the double team comes, kicking out, making plays, reading the floor, surveying the floor, right? He's a guy that can make plays for others as well, which is great, right? He's not like Jokic level or anything like that, but a guy that, again, dumps the ball down, defense collapses, he kick out to a shooter or a cutter, whatnot. That's something that's very valuable, right? To be able to kind of run a little bit of your offense at times, or if he gets caught up, he can, pass out of it. And then again, giving you a block and a steal a game, I think would be very good. And then again, 14.5 points per game. If you look at his per 36, which, he's averaging just a hair under 30 minutes per game. So you kind of get an idea of what to expect for him. But, say he got, heavy minutes, he'd be basically a 18-12 with 3.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 1.5 blocks. So he's a guy that, again, come in, play a role, and just be a solid contributor, right? But I don't think it's a complete necessity, right? But I like the idea of not having to be so Luka reliant at the center position, right? I don't think the Lakers need a super skilled big, right? Like, I don't think that they need somebody that's like Mark Williams would be great to have, but I don't think it's like completely necessary, especially with LeBron, Luka, and, assuming that they're going to keep Austin Reeves, right? Like, I don't look at that and go like, okay, they have to go get a skilled center, right? Because again, that center's probably only going to get 10 attempts per game, right? So to me, I'm looking at somebody that can protect the paint, rebound the basketball, and then ideally be that lob threat, right? But it would be nice to have if you could have a guy that you could trust to generate for himself, right? That isn't so reliant, like this guy isn't scoring the basketball unless he's getting a putback or a Luka setup, right? Like, I like the idea that Jakob Poeltl's a guy that can come in, slot in, and create for himself. He's a guy that you can, again, just dump the ball down to. He can go to work, score over either shoulder, knock down a little 10-footer, 15-footer. It's important, right? To have this sort of array of offense. It's not, to me, it's a bit of a luxury, right? Nick Claxton, right? Clint Capella, something like that, right? They're going to be very reliant on Luka. Yes, they can, get a rebound and put it back, and they can generate some off, but not in the sense of like, hey, you can just dump it down to him and he can go to work. Right? Like, Jakob Poeltl's good at getting establishing position, calling for the basketball, boom, got the ball, and then make a decision from that point of advantage, right? Whether it's, again, a kick out or a pass or a right shoulder, left shoulder, right, little jump shot, right? There's options there and flexibility, and he wouldn't be super reliant on Luka, right? But in the same breath, there are arguments because, again, he's not that floor-running lob threat. He's better in the half-court, right? Which is fine because the Lakers should be a very good half-court team, particularly with Luka, Austin Reeves, and LeBron. So I do think Jakob Poeltl would add to kind of what the Lakers want to do in the half-court, and then even come playoff time, when the game does slow down, it does become more of a half-court game, more of a half-court offense, to have a guy that you can just kind of put on the block, sit on the block, and just kind of, again, go to work, I think would be beneficial. But again, he might not be ideal for what you're looking for Luka, right? Because he's not a guy that is going to be, first one down the court, where Luka's throwing that, touchdown pass, and, he's just, because he's down the court, he's just catching it and laying it in. No, he's a guy that, is going to be, he can get down the court, but not to the level that, Jackson Hayes or, Mark Williams or somebody like that would be able to do, right? So I do think that there are pros and cons as far as like what Jakob Poeltl could bring to this Lakers team, especially now in particular that you have Luka. Where pre-Luka, I think Jakob Poeltl made even more sense because, again, you had Anthony Davis, right? You have Jakob Poeltl with Anthony Davis. Lakers are more in the half court, right? Like, obviously with Luka, he's going to be more in the half court too, but you're dumping it down more often than not. You're playing an inside-out game more because of Anthony Davis and stuff. So having Jakob Poeltl there, Anthony Davis's ability to stretch and knock down the 15-footer, right? Have that interior presence defensively that could help take the pressure on just being a shot blocker and rim deterrent off Anthony Davis, right? Jakob Poeltl made some sense. But now it's like, with Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, you kind of want a guy that can be versatile. It'd be nice to have a guy that could do, like, that's one of the reasons I like the idea of Mark Williams so much, is he could be that lob threat big. He could just play off of Luka and just kind of be in that dunker spot on occasion. But he's also a guy that can knock down a little elbow, knock down a little 15-footer. You could dump the ball down to, and he can go to work and just kind of score the ball himself. And I mean, again, he's a 15 to 20 point a game scorer without Luka. So the idea was like, what would he be with Luka, right? Where Jakob Poeltl, I don't think you get some of that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How you feel with your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Jakob Poeltl? Do you hate the idea of Jakob Poeltl? Kind of mixed in the middle. Either way, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.